Happy Friday, everybody. I'm Amanda Head, the Hollywood conservative. Whoops, and this is your Hollywood Minute. Sorry, I kicked the table. All right, so Kamala Harris finally had an interview last night. She had her security blanket, Tim Walz, with her. And I've joked about, for those of you who were alive in the 90s, Pinky and the Brain cartoon, they seem to have a Pinky and the Brain level codependence. I'm not sure which one is Pinky and which one is Brain. One of them wants to destroy the world. The other one is the useful idiot. But I also think that rather than one being one and the other being another, that they are actually both combined between the two, that each of them is a little bit of world destroyer and useful idiot. But anyway, they had this bizarre interview on CNN. Dana Bash was conducting the interview, and the first problem was just visually with the set. It was in some coffee house or diner type situation, but it was dimly lit. It was almost depressing looking. They couldn't even bother to bust the table with coffee cups and stuff behind it. It was just very strange. Kamala Harris is wearing this drab gray suit. And then there was another visual problem, and that was Kamala Harris looking quite diminutive. You had her in the center of the frame. She was center, which I think was the proper placement. But you had Tim Walz at the forefront, closest to the camera. So as you can see, when I'm moving my hand back and forth, my hand obviously is not that much bigger than my face. But Tim Walz, because he was in the forefront of the frame, he just visually looked bigger. And I think he's over 6 foot. I think he's like 6'1" or 6'2" or something. And I don't actually know how tall Kamala Harris is, but I do think that he is taller than Kamala Harris. But you had the compounded issue of him being closer to the camera. So there are a lot of people who were making the joke about how she looked like a kid at the adult table. So visually, there were a lot of issues, but then even just in the questioning. So this was supposed to be an hour-long interview. It was stretched out over an hour. But when you consider the amount of time that Kamala Harris was actually answering questions, it was, I think, like 16 or 18 minutes. It was nothing. And she had her security blanket, Tim Walz, with her. So the questions were bounced between the two of them. And there were also times when the interviewer, Dana Bash, would ask a question of Kamala Harris, and then she would say, well, is it because so-and-so, so-and-so? She would literally prompt the answer from Kamala Harris as though she felt like it was too complex of an issue or a question for Kamala Harris to be able to actually answer on her own. It was quite pitiful. So I honestly, I do not think that this helped Kamala Harris at all. I could totally be wrong. But I don't think it helped. But when you've got a candidate who still has no policy page, who still really has not given any substantive ideas, she'll say, "Oh, well, I'm going to bring down inflation. I'm going to tackle the economy first." How? You can't do that by strapping grocery stores to prices. You can't cap their prices and bring down inflation. That's a socialist policy. As Donald Trump said, that's the Maduro plan, honey. How are you actually going to do that? She doesn't get pushback on practically anything. The problem is there are so many stupid women, especially out there, who will vote for her just because she's a woman. I am embarrassed for my gender that there are so many women who are willing to vote for her just because her plumbing looks like theirs. Come on. Boy, I'm in a mood heading into the weekend. I promise I'm going to try to improve my mood over the weekend so that next week I can be back with a sunnier disposition. All right, everybody. I have an awesome podcast coming out today. The audio version, of course, is out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So go find Furthermore with Amanda Head on all of your favorite podcasting platforms. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week.